Hungarian Folk Tales. Brother Fox. The fox and the wolf were not the best of friends. The fox had tricked the wolf too many times, and so the wolf decided it was time to eat the fox. One day, 12 carts full of fish came trundling down the road. The fox stole a stack of fish from one of them. The wolf went to the fox's hole and shouted in, "You know, Brother Fox, I'm going to eat you now because you have cheated me so many times." Then he saw the pile of fish. "But give me some of that fish first, Brother Fox." "All right, I'll give you a couple." And the fox gave him some. "Where did you catch these, Brother Fox?" "In the river, Brother Wolf." "Well, teach me how to catch some too." "All right, Brother Wolf, I'll teach you." So they both went out onto the frozen river and cut a hole in the ice. "Well, Brother Fox, put your tail in here and wait until the fish begin to bite. You need to wait until it gets good and heavy," and that's exactly what happened. The fox left the wolf behind. The wolf tried his tail a couple of times, but it was still too light, and he said, "There still aren't enough fish on the end." So he kept his tail dipped in the water, but then his tail froze fast, and he tried to pull it out, but he couldn't. When the women went down to the river the next morning, they saw the wolf, and they beat him with big sticks. The wolf leapt about until his tail tore off, and he ran away in anger. Then the wolf met the fox again. "Now I'm going to eat you, Brother Fox, because you cheated me again. And you can see that I've lost my tail. Why did you keep it in for so long? Were there so many fish on the end that you couldn't pull it out, you foolish wolf? Why did you do it? You know, Brother Wolf, I happen to know about a wedding party in the village. Let's go together and have some fun." And the silly wolf believed what the fox told him. The fox and the wolf went to the wedding party that evening. The farmer had left the barn door open. The fox said, "Don't make any noise, because the people at the party will hear you and kill you." They both started to eat. The fox began to feel very merry, and so he said to the wolf, "Brother Wolf, I want to sing a jolly song." The wolf said, "Don't, or else we shall be killed. Go to the top of the cellar and sing there." The fox started to sing so loudly that all the people came out from the party. They beat the wolf so badly that he barely survived. The fox had a brilliant idea and rolled in tar in the hen's trough. The tar froze on the fox and looked just like bone sticking out of his skin. Then he went to the road where he knew the wolf would pass. He lay in his way and started to groan and moan in pain. The wolf eventually hobbled by. "Now I'm definitely going to eat you up, Brother Fox. Brother Fox, you had me badly beaten, although I told you not to sing. Your problem is less than mine, Brother Wolf. You know what, Brother Fox? Sit on my back." And they walked like this for a while until the fox said, The beaten one carries the unbeaten one, the unbroken one carries the broken one. Excuse me, what was that you said, Brother Fox? I am fighting to stay alive, Brother Wolf. I don't know who will look after my children when I'm gone. They carried on walking like this for a while until the fox said again, the beaten one carries the unbeaten one, he carries the unbroken. What was that again, Brother Fox? I'm fighting to stay alive, Brother Wolf. I don't know who will look after my children when I'm gone. Then the fox started again. The beaten one carries the unbeaten one. What are you going on about again, Brother Fox? I'm fighting to stay alive, Brother Wolf. I don't know who will look after my children when I'm gone. Then the fox leapt into his hole, but the wolf caught the fox's foot. You did not catch my foot, Brother Fox. It's the tree root. The wolf let the foot go and then caught the root. I won't budge from your hole until you come out, and then I will eat you. But the fox could make do with the fish he had. The wolf got very hungry and left the fox's house. And he has been roaming the forest ever since. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Two Princes with Hair of Gold. Once upon a time there was a young prince who left his home looking for a bride. He was riding through a village when three girls watched him pass. The eldest girl said, "If that prince married me, I would make him wear a linen shirt." That was a joke, of course. The middle girl said, "I would make him sleep on a sack of straw." And the youngest girl said, "Well, if he married me, I would give him 2 sons with hair of gold." The prince's coachman overheard all of this and he told his master. So the prince said, "Go and get the girl who said she would give me 2 boys with hair of gold." The coachman called the girl over and the prince told her to join him in his royal carriage. Time quickly passed and the young queen became heavy with child, but before she could give birth, the king had to go and fight. There was an old witch in the court who had teeth of iron and she had a daughter. She would have liked the king to have married her daughter, but when he married another, she hated the young queen very much. When the king went off to war, she said to herself, "Just wait, queen, you will pay for all of this." The day came when the queen gave birth to 2 beautiful sons with hair of gold. The witch with the iron teeth stole them and put 2 puppies in their place. Then she buried the 2 boys opposite each other in the ground around the fish pond. The king was told the news that the queen had given birth to 2 puppies and he had also lost the battle that day. This and the bad news about his wife made him very angry. He wrote a letter and sent it home. In the letter, he ordered that the queen and the 2 puppies should be thrown into the pond where a great whale lived. As soon as the messenger was sent away, he began to regret what he had ordered to be done. When the king arrived home from the battle, he married the witch's daughter. 2 trees bearing golden pears grew on the spot where the 2 princes with hair of gold were buried, and the king liked nothing better than to sit in their shade. The witch did not like this and told her daughter to tell the king to cut the pear trees down, and she nagged him until he had both trees cut down. From their wood 2 beds were made, one for the king and one for the queen. The witch ordered the splinters, twigs and branches to be burned. But no one noticed a passing goat that gobbled up 2 small twigs from the tree. When the Queen and King were sleeping in their beds one night, the Queen's bed asked the other, "Dear brother, is that weight not too heavy for you?" And the other bed answered, "It's not heavy at all, as my burden is my dear father. But mine's too heavy, as I have to bear my enemy." The witch was not asleep, and she overheard the beds talking. The next morning she ordered her daughter to burn the 2 beds, lest her sin come to light. The 2 beds were burned that very day. The witch with the iron teeth and her daughter were now convinced that they faced no more threats. But then the goat gave birth to 2 kids. The 2 little kids had hair of gold. The witch was shocked when she learned of this. She told her daughter to ask the king to have the 2 kids killed, and she could only recover if she ate their meat. The goat kids were killed, and the witch ordered that every strand of their golden hair should be cleared away. But as the kids' innards were washed in the stream, 2 little pieces turned into 2 goldfish. The 2 fish grew and grew until they were caught by a fisherman one day. He pulled the net to shore, and his joy turned to shock when he saw the 2 goldfish turn into 2 handsome young men with hair of gold. The 2 princes had been buried 17 years before, and so now the 2 young men were 17. They duly thanked the fisherman for catching them and asked him to take them to the king, as they knew a fine poem they wanted to recite for him. They knew they would be rewarded for their performance, and they promised to give this reward to the fisherman for his troubles. The fisherman shook all over with fear, but he agreed to take the 2 young men in the hope that he would receive a rich reward. The young men were announced to the king, and the king gave the order to let them in. The witch with the iron teeth saw what would happen, and she tried her best to keep them out. But the king eventually met the 2 youths in spite of all her tricks, and she tried to follow them in and convince the king not to believe the 2 young men. But the king resisted, saying, "Don't meddle, mother-in-law. This is my business and not yours." The 2 young men recited a poem to the king, and in that poem they told him their mother's story and their own. They told the king that the whale had swallowed their mother alive and that she was still alive inside the whale's belly. They told the king to catch the whale and they would recover their mother. They also asked the king to richly reward the fisherman for his good deed. The witch with the iron teeth constantly tried to interrupt the youths and did all she could to make the king disbelieve them. But the king paid all his attention to the 2 young men. The first thing the king did was to order that the whale be caught. The queen emerged from the whale alive, and the king begged her to forgive him. She had survived the ordeal intact. Then the king ordered his 2 sons and wife, and the witch and her daughter, to appear before the royal council. The king put the question to the council: "What does a witch deserve who tried to kill 2 boys and their dear mother, ruin their reputation, and deprive a father of his family? What should her punishment be?" So the royal council ordered that the witch and her daughter should be tied to the tails of 2 horses and dragged through the city. Then they had to be chopped into 4 and their bodies nailed to the 4 corners of the city. The queen and her 2 sons begged for mercy for both of them, but to no avail, and the sentence was duly carried out. The king gave a rich reward to the fishermen. There was a fabulous feast, and the people of the land and the royal family lived happily ever after. Hungarian Folk Tales. The Contrary Wife and the Devil. Once upon a time there lived a woman who was very contrary. One day her husband told her to take his lunch to the field an hour early. So instead she took it out an hour late. Another time he told her to take better food out to him, but instead she took worse. Eventually her husband learned to make his requests backwards and said, "Well, well, wife, do not bring stuffed chicken and pancakes to me today, because they are not the kind of food to eat out in the field." It's true his wife took the food out earlier that day, but she did take her husband his stuffed chicken and pancakes. The next day, her husband got hard to work and dug a deep pit at the end of the field. And the farmer's wife came to him with his food for lunch. The couple soon settled down next to the pit, and the man said to his wife, "Wife of mine, do not go near to the pit, because you will surely fall into it." But the man's wife still ventured close to the pit. "Wife of mine, take care and do not fall into the pit." But the man's wife fell right to the bottom of the deep pit. Hey! Then the man left his wife where she was, and he went home for his supper. The contrary wife tried hard to climb out of the pit, but it proved pointless. "I would even thank the devil if he got me out of here." "Well, here I am," the devil said to the wife. "I came to get you out. Climb onto my back." So the wife climbed onto the devil's back and he pulled her out of the pit. Then the devil said to her, "Now you can get off." And the woman said, "I will not." So the devil said, "Then take good care, because you will soon fall off." And the devil began to dash madly around the land. Soon the devil grew tired and he said to the woman, "Get off my back this minute." And the woman said, "No, I will not." The devil was tired out and he said to the old woman, "Now get off my back." "No, I will not." The devil was desperate and did not know what to do next. Then he saw a soldier riding by and said, "Good hussar, if you can get this woman off my back, I will make you king." So the hussar got off his horse, walked cursing over to the woman and told her if she did not get off, he would cut her in two with his sharp sword. But the wife said, "No, I will not." So the brave hussar fought the woman with his sword. "Get off his back, good woman, or I will end your life." "No, I will not." Then the hussar said, "If you won't, then stay sitting on the devil." So then the woman said, "No, I will not." And she leapt off the devil's back, and the devil vanished. The hussar went on his way the following day, and the devil was waiting for him under a bridge as he planned to crown him king. The devil saw the hussar riding towards him. He poked his head out from under the bridge and shouted, "Fine hussar, the woman isn't still here, is she?" "She is not, do not fear." And as the hussar reached him, the devil said, "Now I will make you king. You must go to the king's daughter, and during your journey I will possess her soul. And then her hand will be promised to the man who can drive me out of her. But no one will be able to do this, only you. You simply have to say, 'Jump out, because I want to take her.' But should I possess another of his daughters, you must not drive me out, for then I will possess you, and you will never be free of me again." So now the hussar travelled to the town where he heard the news that the king's daughter had been possessed by the devil. was made that whosoever could drive the devil out would get the princess and half the kingdom. The hussar was delighted by this news, and so he reported to the palace saying he could drive the devil out. He said to the devil, "Jump out, devil, because I want to take her." Then the devil jumped out right away, and plans were made for the royal wedding. Years passed, and the news came that the devil had now possessed the king's second daughter. The hussar was asked to go out, but he was unwilling because he remembered what the devil had told him before. The hussar was promised treasure and many jewels, and so he eventually went. There he said to the devil, "Devil, jump out of there too, because I want to take her." The devil jumped out right away and was about to attack the poor hussar when he stamped hard on his foot and said, "Do you hear, devil? That woman is coming." Hearing this, the devil began to run and run and ran away forever and a day.